the first time. Hey, Brandon, Carson Wentz's year one with the Colts will be blank.
Contender-ish. Listen, yeah, that's a real word. That's a B. Marshall word. If you tune in, I may mess up some words here and there, and sometimes I make up words. And I made this one up. Look, this dude has no more excuses. He has everything he needs. In Philly, what didn't he have? He didn't have an offensive line. He didn't have the wide receivers because they were banged up and, really didn't have much talent there. And then they also have a defense. So he is a guy that can lead this team. This is an organization that believes that Frank Reich can get to guys. They think he can get to Carson Wentz. So with the guys in that locker room, with Frank Reich and that coaching staff, this team should be a contender. That is the goal for them.
I think the Colts will be good. I think Carson Wentz will be meh. I'm going to be totally honest to America here. I'm not that interested in Carson Wentz. I've never understood why he's so talked about. I've never understood why it's like he is on the level right beneath Dak Prescott amongst quarterbacks we talk about that much. Like, listen, he was really, really good 4 years ago. And since then, he's been meh. And his team's been meh. And I feel like next year with the Colts, he's going to be meh. So that's how I feel.
Wow. That's such a great word to describe.
Is that a word or did you make that up?
Totally fair take. I mean, that's a word. I'm going with rivers-esque, also known as like a stream or a babbling brook. I think the Colts would be totally fine if he had a rivers-esque season. Philip Rivers grew for 4,000 yards, 24 TDs, 11 touchdowns. Carson Wentz played 4 fewer games, but threw 4 more interceptions. So I think if he just has a Philip Rivers-esque season, Colts will be happy.
You're just making up words left and right. I like it. All right, head to Cleveland now. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski said the team is in a good spot with Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry as far as cap hits go for next season. Caps don't catch balls. Brandon, the Browns keeping Odell and Landry should have Baker feeling blank.
Real word alert. You can find it in Webster's. This is hesitant.
Okay.
I mean, look, man, you guys tried it. You went out there. You tried to get him the best wide receiver in football at the time. And the chemistry is just not there. So I think it's best for both sides to move on. Go get what you can out of Odell. Take that piece, add it to the defensive side, maybe draft some speed at the wide receiver position. But he should be hesitant. It just doesn't work. And it's okay. It has nothing to do with your game. It has nothing to do with Odell's game. It's just you guys don't see it the same way. And so I would move on if I'm the Cleveland Browns, and I would move on definitely if I'm Odell Beckham Jr., because you got to get your career back on track. You were once known as the greatest wide receiver of this time. And now in the last couple of years, you've been banged up by injuries. We know how special you are. Go get you a quarterback that understands your body language and how you play football, and that wants to get you the ball, and you'll be right back on track. Hesitant.
Yeah, I'm with Brandon on a lot of this. My answer was should have Baker feeling nothing because it's not going to happen. And I also agree it's nobody's fault. But right now, Odell is a luxury that I believe the Browns can't afford. Because low-key underrated story with the Browns last year, that back half of the defense was terrible. Truly terrible. The numbers didn't indicate it as bad as they were because they played that month of football in the windstorms and the monsoons, so their defensive numbers looked better. But the defense was awful. So you need to trade Odell either for a defensive playmaker or a draft pick with which you can use on a defensive playmaker. So if I were Baker, I wouldn't be getting too excited about having both of these guys back because I think Odell is getting moved. I think this is just Andrew Berry and the Browns franchise trying to keep his value high, Wilds.
Okay, I thought Baker was in a unique situation. And before we go, I want to ask Brandon a question. I feel a lot of these quarterbacks want a lot of weapons, right? We've seen Lamar ask for more weapons. Tom Brady obviously wants weapons. Aaron Rodgers wants weapons. Baker's a guy who has a lot of weapons. If you move on from Odell, do you, and with this injury kind of looming, I think on people's minds, Do you think he has to play a few games here, almost as a tryout for other teams to move his value to where we think it should be?
It's possible, but I don't think it's necessary. It's not necessary because of medicine now. If this was 10 years ago, the way or 15 years ago, we used to take knives and cut people's knee open it up, and try to put it back together. Now, it's so much easier.
Take knives and cut people's...
Modern medicine. Guys are recovering faster. Look at Adrian Peterson coming off the ACL and then running for 2,000 yards. No, it's not necessary.
What are those thousands?
I think they still use
Brandon's like, let me tell you exactly how to cut into an ACL. On to Tampa now. Brady and the Bucs reportedly discussing a contract extension. That'll happen when you come in, you hint you can win a Super Bowl, and then you actually go ahead and win a Super Bowl. A new deal would push him past age 45. I personally can't wait till I'm 45 one day. Brandon, Tom Brady playing beyond 45 would be blank.
Oh, man, this is the GOAT. The greatest accomplishment in sports history, maybe? I mean, look, the dude is 43 now. He turns 44 in August. So that means, he'll have to play 3 more years to play past 45, obviously. I mean, is it possible? I think he's showing us that anything is possible in sports. I mean, it really feels inconceivable when you look at the injury rate in the National Football League. What this dude is doing is unbelievable. And, his counterpart, LeBron James, what they're doing, is unheard of. So if this happens, to me, it'd be the greatest feat in sports history.
All right. Wild's going to get mad at me. Brandon's going to maybe won't speak to me anymore. Jenna's going to text her wife and say, I can't believe I worked with this guy. I'm going to touch a third rail here because we all agree in sports media there are certain things off limits. You don't talk about anybody's family. But, Tom, this would be selfish. Your wife and children have spoken. Your daughter's begging you to stop drinking so much and throwing trophies around. Your wife is begging you to quit playing football. And now you're like, no, I'm just going to keep going. So listen, I'm not one to tell someone else how to run their household. But Tom, listen to those around you that love for you and care for you the most.
He's in the NFC. What is your concern?
I'm just.
He's in the NFC.
You want to know my concern, Brandon? For those wonderful people in his life, his wife and children. That's who I'm
Stop it.
Yeah.
My God.
My answer is it'd be selfish. Wild. That's my answer.
I would be surprised if it didn't happen at this point. If he said, you know what, I'm hanging up at 45, I think we'd be more surprised if it didn't happen. By the way, on the retirement report, March 8th, everybody, I don't know, check your Twitter. Has Drew Brees retired yet? Haven't heard from him.
God.
Jason Witten's retired. Phillip Rivers retired. I'm hearing the guy's going to retire, but it hasn't happened. So I'm still thinking putting Drew Brees come back.